What is sexual respect? Why is it important to your experience in the United States? In this video, we will discuss the answers to these questions to help you have a safe and successful stay in the United States. We will also share information on cultural attitudes towards gender on your host institution campus, talk about sexual assault and sexual harassment in the United States, and lay out the consequences of these acts. Finally, we will discuss strategies that can help you stay safe during your time here in the United States. In the United States, the issue of sexual misconduct is taken very seriously, especially on college campuses, because young adults are at the highest risk of experiencing sexual violence. 54% of victims of sexual assault are young adults. College life in the United States is an opportunity to challenge yourself, explore new cultures, and engage with different people. As you meet new people, it is important to be aware that gender roles and expectations are different in our countries. In the United States, gender isn't viewed as set roles that everyone has to follow. People are not judged solely on how they choose to express their gender. Understanding the range of ways people in the United States view and express gender will help you interact safely and respectfully with others. Gender, as it is understood today, is more than just a difference between men and women. Gender is a spectrum, and gender differences are easier to see and understand as they relate to an individual's gender identity. Both men and women can take on traditionally male and female roles without being judged negatively. For example, mothers go to work and fathers can stay home and raise children and take care of the household. What is gender? What is gender identity? And how is it different from biological sex? Gender is how masculinity or femininity is defined by a culture. This may include perceptions of men's and women's traditional roles in society, the home, and the workplace. After many years of political and cultural struggle in the United States, American men and women are socially and legally seen as equals and are not bound to traditional roles. Sex, in contrast, refers to the biological and physical characteristics that you were born with. Gender identity is personal. It is an individual's sense or feeling of their own masculinity, femininity, both, or neither, which may or may not be expressed outwardly. What you see may or may not correspond to an individual's biological sex. The United States recognizes the right to define one's own gender identity, to express gender however one chooses, as a human right. Acknowledging the diversity in gender and not judging someone as good or bad based on their gender expression or your own gender expectations is a crucial first step for a safe and successful experience. But it isn't the only concept you will need to learn. Equally important to gender diversity, if not more so, is the concept of consent and the policies and laws on sexual assault and sexual harassment. What you will learn about consent and the laws governing gender interactions in the United States apply to all people and all interactions, regardless of your own gender, gender identity, biological sex, or sexual orientation. What does consent mean? Consent is based on the idea that every person deserves respect, and it recognizes that each individual is entitled to decide what they'd like to do or not do with their own bodies. Consent is a verbal and clear agreement between two or more people about engaging in any behavior and is an important part of maintaining healthy friendships and relationships. Consent must be given at each stage of a physical interaction and can be withdrawn at any time. People under the age of 18 are not considered full adults and therefore cannot give consent. To avoid possible exploitation of younger people, consent can only legally be given by people over the age of 18. Consent is respecting others' personal space and gaining verbal permission. Just like you cannot enter someone's house without an invitation, you cannot touch, hug, kiss, or engage in sexual behavior with someone without their permission. This can sometimes be confusing because what is considered appropriate in the United States may be different from what you have seen, heard, or experienced at home or in the media. Remember, Hollywood is not reality. Movies, music, and other media may mistakenly send the wrong message, that when someone doesn't say anything, they mean yes. This is incorrect. Consent must be given and confirmed at every stage of a gender interaction or a relationship. Yes means yes is a phrase you may hear, which means that consent is only given when the other individual says yes. It is important to be aware of the differences between films and real life, as sexual respect is all about consent. But what happens when consent or permission is implied or missing? Non-consensual sexual behaviors are considered sexual crimes in the United States. Remember, no means no. If someone says no, seems hesitant, or does not say yes to any sexual act, consent has not been given. If you are not 100% certain that your partner is giving their full consent, do not risk it. There are many behaviors that can be considered violating and harassing and have both legal and academic consequences. For example, making sexual jokes like calling professional women girls, making catcalls or whistling as a woman walks by, prolonged staring, following someone, or stalking, touching another person without their consent, texting someone repeatedly without a response, repeatedly messaging someone online without a response, commenting on someone's gender online or tweeting gendered comments at them, repeatedly sending unwanted gifts to someone, grabbing or holding parts of someone else's body without their consent, having sex without consent, engaging in any specific sexual acts without explicit permission at any stage of a sexual encounter, being sexual with someone who has had alcohol, even if it is only one drink, being sexual with someone who is under 18 and not legally able to give consent. Sexual harassment and sexual assault are not solely male on female crimes. Anyone can be the victim of sexual harassment and assault, and anyone can be the perpetrator of such a crime. Male on male, female on male, and female on female assault or harassment are all just as illegal and as serious as male on female crimes. Victims of such sexual crimes are protected by the Title IX laws in American colleges and university campuses. The Title IX law mandates that American colleges and universities investigate any sexual crime that has been reported, irrespective of the victim's sexual history, or whether it occurs between individuals of the same sex or different sexes. Investigators in the United States and on campuses are very careful not to blame the victim. If someone alleges a sexual crime, it is no defense to question their character. The mere allegation that someone has committed a sexual crime, despite who alleges it, can not only lead to deportation, fines, and jail time. This has a far-reaching impact on their ability to return to the United States, as sexual assault is illegal and is considered a felony. Individuals convicted of sexual assault can face months or years of prison time.
Many international students do not understand Title IX, the Clery Act, and their implications. They think the laws in the United States are just like their laws back home, which may not be the case. Learning about consent and understanding the laws and how to stay safe are the most important things international students can learn. Laws on consent in the United States are strong and seriously enforced. People will come forward and report sexual harassment or assault.
Just as you can unintentionally be the perpetrator of a sexual crime, you may also become a victim. While sexual harassment and assault is not widespread on American campuses, that doesn't mean that the threat isn't real or present. IREX wants you to be aware of this risk and to give you some tips on how to stay safe, whether you're on campus or you're traveling elsewhere in the United States. Trust your instincts. If you feel like something or someone makes you nervous and it doesn't feel right, the best option is to not engage or trust the person. Stay close to friends and don't get separated. Take a buddy with you when you go to a party, meet someone new, or when you walk in the dark. Don't leave a party with someone you recently met or don't know. Meet a date or an online friend in a public place with other people around you. Do not give out your personal information online, including physical address, phone number, and email address. When walking at night, only walk in well-lit areas and take a buddy with you. Limit alcohol use. It is illegal for anyone under the age of 21 to drink alcohol. If you are over 21, be careful with how much you drink and make sure you're always aware of your surroundings and the policies restricting consumption on campus. Be an active bystander and look out for your friends who may be in harm's way. What should you do if you or someone you know has been a victim of a sexual crime? First, you should call the police or campus safety. You should then contact the International Office on campus, the Counseling Center on the college campus, for support and assistance with next steps.
Victims of sexual crimes should not be afraid to come forward and report abuse. Reports of sexual crimes remain confidential between the authorities and the victim, and they can be made at any time after the abuse occurs. While it's best to report the crimes as soon as it happens, it's never too late to come forward, seek support, and hold the perpetrator accountable.
IREX, your host institution, and the local authorities are all there to help support you in any way you need. Remember that you can expect support and not blame if you are a victim. You will not be penalized or lose your grant for reporting a sexual crime. And remember that creating a culture of sexual respect is everyone's responsibility.